G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back again for another footy tipping video, and we're going to be doing my footy tips for round 4 of the 2023 AFL season. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated. And let's kick it off with my tips from last week. Okay, tips from last week, round 3. The carnage continues, 3 out of 9. I'm just getting on the receiving end of some unlucky tips, really. That's the thing with tips in general. It is a bit of luck based, but you know, I still back my decisions with tips each week, but just can't get any consistency at the moment. Tip the Lions away. I just thought they would be the better side against the Bulldogs, but I did state that I thought the Bulldogs would come to play, especially at home, and they sure did that. They were really good with their ball movement, and 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐪 5 goals. They were awesome down forward too. Went with a safe tip with the Magpies, just really backed their system and their game plan. To be honest, I felt the Tigers could really match it, but in the end, the Pies were just too good with their ball movement, and they honestly should have won the game by more, kicking a lot of behinds. Went with a tip with North Melbourne. Didn't really give the Hawks too much credit. I just felt, coming off a shellacking against the Swans, I just felt North in some good form. But the Hawks were very good this game. Dylan Moore was fantastic. Tyler Brockman, that young star. And the midfield too. Young midfield is starting to really grow a bit. And that is just a huge win to bank for the Hawks. Went with the Blues. I was really bullish on the Blues getting this done. And again, they were pretty inaccurate. Sort of same with the Giants. They probably should have won this by more. But this game was really in the balance. And it was a gallant effort from the Giants. But the Blues getting it done. Went with the Saints against the Bombers. Felt like they were just the far better team. And with their system at the moment, very good defensive-wise. Their ball movement is very good too. I could see them winning this game, and they sure did that. Felt that Port Adelaide's forward half in the contested game would get it done over the Crows. And the one time I don't tip Adelaide, they win. That's just how unlucky I am with the tips at the moment. But nah, their youngsters were fantastic. Thorthorpe, Rankin, very unlucky, not one of them to take home the medal. With the Sunday games, got all 3 wrong. Felt that Geelong would play some better footy, but they just look honestly gassed at the moment. Swans, I thought I'm back in my bloods, and we usually play well against the Demons, but they just ran away with it pretty much in that full term throughout the whole game. Really smacked the Swans in the contested game, and went with the risky tip with the Eagles. But hey, how about that injury carnage? I think 7 or 8 players down throughout that game, and Freo just ran over the top of them in the end. Rightio, so let's hope for a bit of a better week with the tips. I want to start to, you know, get myself up the ranks a bit. It's getting a little bit embarrassing now, but again, as I say, still back my decisions sometimes, but you know, that's just the thing with tips. I should probably just click auto tip, probably do better, but we'll try and improve week by week. Hopefully better than 3. We kick it off though, Thursday night, Brisbane Lions taking on the Pies at the Gabba. This is a very intriguing matchup because you just think now, Collingwood are the team to beat in the AFL. Their system, their game plan is looking magnificent. They're strong defensively. You know, that forward line is humming. Everyone is playing their part. Pressure is very good. They're structurally sound in the defense. Everything's clicking at the moment. But now it's the test of how they're going to play in a state. How they're going to play not at the MCG. This isn't anything against them, but it's a genuine question. Because the Brisbane Lions, they are so hard to grab a grasp on at the moment. They either play terribly poor away or at home. As we saw against the Demons, they really turn it up. I just think on paper, a lot of their midfielders like Lachie Neale and Josh Dunkley, they've been pretty mediocre so far to kick off this year. And same with Harris Andrews. I think a few of those key players are just not showing enough consistency. And this is where the Pies can really come into town and get the better of the Lions here. I feel the Pies are probably the more logical tip just because given their game plan, they're playing some awesome football at the moment. They are probably in more form, but just with the Lions, look, they're a hard team to grasp on, and especially this game being the Gabba, I just think that they are going to be using the field and the home field advantage to their advantage against the Pies here. And I'm actually going to be tipping the Lions here. I think with a few times I see the Pies, especially at like the SCG, they sort of struggled to get their, you know, to spread and get their game plan going in with a bit of a more smaller ground, such as the Gabba or such as the SCG. So I think I just back in the Lions here, get it done at home, and I reckon they'll win by... we'll go with a close one, I reckon. We'll go Lions by 8 points. For the Good Friday game, we do have North Melbourne taking on Carlton. This is going to be a fully sold out game, so the attendance should be really good. And it's a good thing to see with North Melbourne now playing some good footy and a bit more of a home crowd. And heading into this game, look, I think the Blues... we were only 3 rounds in and they're undefeated, but they just haven't been the most dominant sort of team. I think the results... look, they've been getting results done, but they haven't done it in the most convincing manner. I just think they've been able to reap the reward of some poor ball skills against Geelong and the Giants too. They've been sort of inaccurate in their forward half, and But 𝐼𝐞𝐞 𝐎𝐿, look, they've been good, but they haven't been top shelf yet. And I think the same can be said with their midfield and etc. But I do have to say their defence has been pretty strong. I really like the look of 𝐼𝐻𝐪 and Young back there. Adam Sard and Sam Docherty don't look out of place compared from last year too. It's just a hard one to grasp on the Blues, and I think North Melbourne heading into this game, look, I just think they're going to be a lot more adjusted now to the sort of bigger games North Melbourne. We saw against Freo, they managed to do it away. I think that now North Melbourne, with a few wins banked, they're going to show a bit more confidence in big sort of games. And I do actually like North Melbourne for the tip here, but look, I think just given the matchup wise, I think the Blues are going to be too good for the Kangas here. But I reckon this game will be a bit of a solid hit out, maybe a bit of a goal for goal affair. But for me, the Blues, they're still strong contested wise. And look, maybe week after week, we can see how the Blues are really going. You know, it might take a few weeks for their forward half to really get clicking. But against North Melbourne, I think they're just on paper a better side. So I'll go the Blues here. I'll back them in. And they'll get it done by 19 points. Now for the Saturday games, first one we've got is the Crows taking on Fremantle at Adelaide Oval. Instantly, what I do think of Fremantle is, it was great to see him run over the top of the Eagles, but I mean, could have been more of a margin. It was quite a game. It was a game quite in the balance, whilst West Coast had a lot of their players out injured, so there's that to ponder about with Fremantle. Whilst for the Crows, it was the beauty of their youth getting it done last week. I thought Riley 𝐼𝐻𝐿thorpe and Luke Pedler and Isaac Rankin really got clicking, and this is what happens when Adelaide can kick straight. They're actually a very efficient team, and look, I think their first two losses of the year, the Crows, were quite unlucky. They've had those patches where they concede a few amounts of goals, but they've just been pretty inaccurate in terms of the scoreboard, and I just think with the discipline they show, and they're still a high pressure, high tackling sort of side at the moment, they can really come into this game and match up against Freo's on paper good looking midfield. Adelaide will certainly be heading into this game with plenty of confidence, getting that win last week, home game as well, and I still have question marks with Fremantle's forward half at the moment. It was against the Eagles at the end of the day. I think Michael Walters had a decent game, 𝐓𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 too. But, you know, I still have questions with it, so I'm going to be sticking with the Crows. They're a team I really rate at the moment, and if they can start to get things really, start to get the ball rolling with efficiency in their forward half, I think they can really win big here against the Dockers. So we'll go, not too much of a blowout, but I reckon this game will be close, maybe in the midfield, maybe Freo kick a few, but I reckon Adelaide run away with this game, and they'll win. A bit of a statement win, I reckon. We'll go Crows by 26 points. Next game, pretty intriguing matchup here. The Tigers taking on the Bulldogs at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the good old G. And look, to be honest, these are two opponents I'm still yet to get a full grasp on. I know that the Tigers have started quite decent. They've got a win, they've got a draw, they've got a loss, whilst for the Bulldogs a much needed win. But maybe I just need to see a few more weeks from these sides, because they've just been a bit of uncertainty from both sides. I think the Tigers could have really lost big against the Pies if they were able to kick straight. They've been inefficient with the use in their forward 50. Whilst for the Bulldogs, this is a good game to be heading into with a bit of momentum, coming off that huge win against the Lions at home. You know, I just thought last week their ball movement was very good, and Bontempelli and McRae, plays that really needed to stand up, did stand up. And also felt last week in defence they looked quite sound too. They were good off the rebound, and especially the likes of Liam Jones and Josh Bruce look pretty decent so far back there in their key defensive posts. I think if Richmond are really able to execute in their forward half, something that the Bulldogs have been really unable to defend in their first two games of the season, I can see the Tigers winning this game by some sort of margin. But I think it'll be a pretty good game to watch. I think it'll be close, but in the end, Richmond run away with it and win by 23 points. Now for St Kilda taking on the Suns, and arguably one of the best teams in the competition at the moment, St Kilda, a team that I haven't really given too much credit at the start of the year, but started to really now hop on board a bit of what they're doing. I think their ball movement and their defensive pressure and how they're structured defense-wise is very good at the moment. You know, they're still probably average, or not really too many A-graders on that list, but you have players like Mason Wood really finding his home along the wing, and you know, now no steal, but you got Brad Crouch in there really playing some good football. Jed Owens and 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 down forward playing brilliant football, and honestly I think 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 is maybe one of the best key backs in the competition at the moment from these first three rounds. So I think just right off the bat they head back into their playpens of Marvel Stadium against the Suns and probably do win this game. But as I've said, I think the Suns are quite an underestimated team, especially in the midfield. I think they are averaging the highest amount of clearances out of any team in the competition at the moment. Matt Riel's having a very underrated start to his season. Noah Anderson and 𝐼𝐻𝐿 around there too. So I think the Suns can really head into this matchup and probably maybe even win the clearance count. I think they can maybe get a surge of repeated entries and etc. But they are just At the same time, I don't know about their forward half. It's a bit inconsistent. Don't know if King and I don't know if 𝐼𝐿𝐴𝐶𝐼𝐿 can go back and kick another 5 goals. I think they do need a little bit more from their forward. A few of their small forwards, and in defence as well. 𝗏𝐿𝐴𝐿 𝐼𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐿𝐴 are back in there, but I don't know if we'll be able to hold up with St Kilda at the moment. I think structurally and coaching wise, they're a very well coached team at the moment, and I think they'll head into this game at home, St Kilda, and beat the Suns here. I think it will be close, probably similar to how the Suns played against Essendon, probably a bit of a goal-for-goal affair, but the Saints will eventually run away with it, I do believe, and win by 20 points. And for the other Saturday night game, we have the Sydney Swans taking on Port Adelaide at the SCG. The Swans coming off probably a bit of a reality check against the Demons. They were pretty much smacked in the contested game against a far more experienced and just primed team of the Demons at the moment at the G. Whilst for Port Adelaide, very disappointing loss, and now they are seriously, under the pump a bit. 1-2 they are, and Ken Hinkley again, maybe in a bit of jeopardy. But this matchup here, Port Adelaide, no matter how good or bad they play, they always find a way to beat Sydney, and they do it in good fashion. I think the last time the Swans knocked off Port Adelaide was either 2014 or 2015. The last 2 outings at Adelaide Oval, Port got, of course, the chocolates, and the one last year too. They battered the Swans from that second half onwards. Look, I do like Port Adelaide here. They're very good value to tip, but I just think with the Swans, right, yes, they were concerning last week, but just back at the SCG, I think they've started to now build a bit of a fortress over there, back up in Sydney. I think the last time the Swans lost at the SCG was probably round 7 or round 8 last year. So I think just given this is the Swans' home game, they're back to, their comfortable surroundings of knowing the ground and, getting the leads right and getting their structure right against Port Adelaide, where, again, I really rate them here. I think they can get the better of the Swans midfield contested-wise, whilst the Swans are a bit weak in that area. I just think at home, the Swans get it done. So back in the Bloods here to get a win, and another close game, I reckon, but we'll go the Swans by 10 points. For the Sunday games now, we've got Essendon taking on GWS at Marvel Stadium. Giants coming off a pretty gallant loss last week against the Blues, but at the same time, I just felt, as I mentioned in my good, bad and ugly video yesterday, I'm just thinking they're a very ugly team at the moment. Their effort is there. They're getting it really, stuck into in the cold face and etc. But I just think their ball skills and their transition at the moment and the turnovers they have is just too much at the moment. They turn the ball over too frequently, and I think just with the Dons, especially at home, I believe will be too good for the Giants here. I think the midfield matchups they can really get the better of, especially in their forward half too. I think 𝐼𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐿𝐴 and maybe does Ben Hobbs come back in the side and Stringer maybe another week into him, he could start to really bubble up and gain much more match fitness. So I'll go with the Bombers here. Maybe the Giants could be a bit of a smoky tip here, but I'll be bullish with this one. I think this is my lock of the week, I guess you could say. We'll go the Dons to win by 22 points. Now for the Eagles taking on the Demons at Optus Stadium, and it's a bit of deja vu for West Coast fans now. 7 or 8 players from last week are going to be out of the team with injury, and against the Demons who knocked off the Swans, another team that was well rated from the first 2 rounds of the year in convincing style. They battered them by. At the G, I think they head over the Optus here and get it done pretty convincingly. I don't think I'll need to talk too much about this tip. Maybe the Eagles could give them a bit of a hustle. Look, I think Tim Kelly's in some good form. That midfield, 𝐼𝐿𝐴𝐿 coming off a Rising Star nomination could give Clary a bit of heat in the midfield, let's say. But for me, the Demons just the better team on paper. They'll be too strong for the Eagles here, and they'll head over to Perth. And look, I don't think it'll be an absolute shellacking. I think the Eagles will show some sort of gallant effort, but I'll go the Demons by 43 points. And for probably the most intriguing matchup of the round, the Cats versus the Hawks at the MCG. Who'd have thunk of Geelong 0-3, and the Hawks, well, I think they can really see this game as a winnable one. They're $5, so they're quite the outsiders here in this game, but just with Geelong's effort, the slow ball movement, they're getting battered in clearances and in the midfield too. When Tom Hawkins is slowing down and not really getting many avenues to goal at the moment. And defence, look, Sam de Koning's out and a few of those key defensive posts are out. So it's a big week for Tom Stewart back there too. But on the other side of the coin, Hawks, I've been playing a bit of a small forward line. You saw Dylan Moore having a great week last week, and Tyler Brockman in that forward line too. Fergus Green getting on the end of a few goals. So I just think, sort of like mentally wise, is the game that Hawks can really get up and about. And it's one of these rivalries. Both clubs hate each other. No matter how good or how bad a team's playing, both teams play well. So I think this game will be close. But I'm going the Cats. I'm being a bit of a pussy. I like the Hawks here, but I just keep on falling into the benefit of the doubt trap. I think Geelong turn up a bit. This is a game they've really got to be mentally prepared for. I think they'll be a bit faster in the midfield. They've just got to get really things going. Dangerfield has really got to rally around this squad, but I think that they get up for this game. Close one. We'll go under a goal. This will be an end-to-end classic, but Geelong get their first win of the season and win by 4 points. So everyone, there are my tips for round 4 of the 2023 AFL season. Thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to enjoy, and comment down below and let me know what you think of my tips. Feel free to comment down below your tips as well. Love to hear your fellas' thoughts. Once again, everyone, thank you very much for tuning into today's video, and until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.